This is a Dragon Blazer production, and I am the little boogeyman.
All right. Coming down the aisle, it's the podcast tag team champions of the world, the Rage and Blaze Show. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Rage and Blaze Show. I'm Rage, and I'm
Blaze.
She's stealing my spotlight, man. Man, I'll tell you
Blaze. What the hell is going on here? You try to do a nerdy podcast and just be in your own little lane, and people want to make fun of you and join in. And welcome to the show, Tracy Rayberg. How you doing?
Blaze.
You're Blaze, huh? Okay. So my wife's having an identity crisis.
I'm going to have to go to court. I'm Blaze.
You're Blaze.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to fight for my rights here. Trying to take over my spot.
You gotta fight for your right to podcast! Okay, so, wow, that's a different intro than we've done before. And it was not expected. She's just sitting here waiting for us to do the podcast and, well, let's be honest, being a smartass. And today, we are going to go back in time and watch WrestleMania 9 at Caesar's Palace. I am excited. How about you?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely excited. This is the first WrestleMania that we get where we get the Royal Rumble winner facing the champion in the main event. So, yeah, I'm very excited.
And that would be Yokozuna versus Bret Hart. Should be a really good match. Unfortunately, I know the history of this Royal Rumble, and it's one of those things that kind of heartbreaking how it ends. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We will get there when the time comes. Okay, so before we get into the WrestleMania action, we do have a new video game to talk about. This is another video game that released in 1993. It was on Sega CD. It is WWF Rage in the Cage. Now, at first, we started doing our research, and I'll admit, we never had a Sega CD. I never had one, anyhow. And so we have never played this game. But essentially, this game ended up being almost a duplicate of would be WWF Royal Rumble on the Super Nintendo and Sega. The graphics were pretty much the same gameplay-wise as the Super Nintendo version, maybe a little crisper. We'd have to see it side by side to really know. The biggest change in this game, though, is number one, it has the biggest roster of wrestlers of any other wrestling game up to that point in history, and it would not be surpassed until WWF Attitude would come out 6 years later. And this game featured 20 wrestlers. Another big change.
That's a lot.
Yeah, another big change is that it showed real video clips on this game because it was a Sega CD. But if you've ever watched video on a computer back in the early 90s, it was very choppy, very grainy. It was very ugly looking, but it was a video clip. I mean, they're right. It is a video clip, but it's very grainy, weird. But one of the coolest features we found while watching the gameplay was that Howard Finkel announces every wrestler, and then there is voices from every wrestler, sort of, if you can call it that, from every wrestler. There are voices from every wrestler after they get announced. So there's real audio clips, which was really, really cool. Now, when the Uganda Giant was announced, he just made clicking noises, and you could hear him patting on his belly. So he obviously does not talk. So that was a little funny that that was the voiceover you get. Instead of maybe his, I don't know, his manager talking or something. No, you just get noises.
And Yokozuna is not nearly to size.
No, and Yokozuna has definitely thinned out for this game. But we will name off the wrestlers. It features Macho Man Randy Savage, Samu, Fatu, IRS, Lex Luger, Razor Ramon, Ted DiBiase, Bam Bam Bigelow, Yokozuna, Shawn Michaels, Rick Martel, Jerry Saggs, Brian Knobbs, Big Boss Man, Tatanka, Bret Hart, The Undertaker, Kamala, Crush, and Mr. Perfect. It has basically the same gameplay modes as the Super Nintendo and Sega version, with the only difference is there is no tag team mode, which is odd because there's 3 tag teams in this game. 6 of the wrestlers belong to tag teams.
Yeah.
So that is very odd to take out the tag team mode. Also, you can tell there's loading in the middle, in between picking your characters and the matches. Also, at the menu screen, when you pick your characters, you can click a button and watch another grainy video clip of every wrestler's special move. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then when you win the tournament, you can go through and wrestle every wrestler, win the tournament, and when you win the tournament, Howard Finkel announces you as the new WWF Heavyweight Champion and holds up the title. I thought that was really cool. And then they show a video of you celebrating your win, but it doesn't show you celebrating with the WWF title, or at least it didn't show Rick Martel, obviously.
Well, the video,
because he's never
held the title. So.
And this is real footage.
And they didn't record footage for the game. They took footage from wrestling and put it on the game.
So obviously he's not holding the title in the celebration video. He's just kind of the referee's holding his hand up. And then, of course, they at the end it says WWF Magazine, and there's a picture of a WWF Magazine, and it says the new World Wrestling Federation champion, Rick Martel, and a picture of Rick Martel. So that was kind of a cool little, add-on. But overall, the game, if you've played Royal Rumble on Super Nintendo or Sega, you're pretty much playing the same game. You're just getting a little added extra with the voiceovers and the little video clips. So it's just a little bit kind of cooler playing it, but they didn't call it the same game. It's considered more of a spin-off. Matter of fact, when we started watching the videos, we're like, should we even talk about this? Because we've kind of already played this game, if you think about it. It's the same. Yeah. It's the same tug-of-war style as WWF Royal Rumble for Super Nintendo. So, but I'm guessing since we like that game, we would like this game if we would have sat and played it. But unfortunately, we never owned a Sega CD growing up. So,
right, yeah, it was pretty much the same, but the audio was cooler.
Yeah, that was cool. Just having audio.
And it was clear. It was like very clear audio too.
Yeah,
like it didn't sound like distorted like old games talking does. It was like literal audio clips.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. But that's going to do it for our video game segment. We will have another video game for the next pay-per-view we do. Not for this will probably be a 2-part episode. This will probably be a 2-part episode because most of our WrestleManias are because of how long WrestleMania is. But anyhow, like I said, we will have another video game segment for the King of the Ring show. So we'll probably also be talking about the results of this WrestleMania coming up too at that point. So anyhow, so that'll do it for that, and it's time to get into WrestleMania 9.
All right.
Okay, to start this show off, we see some elaborate entrances. We see Cleopatra and what's the other guy? Caesar. Caesar coming out on an elephant with Cleopatra riding on his hunk or his trunk on his. Anyhow,
on his hunk.
On his hunk.
I'm riding on my hunk today.
That was the name of the elephant, of course. So
hunk,
anyhow,
yeah, hunk the trunk.
So anyhow, so we get that. We get Macho Man Randy Savage being brought out in what would you call that? Like almost like a king or something. He gets brought out.
Then you get Bobby the Brain Heenan coming out backwards on a camel. We also get our very first glimpse in the WWF, Jim Ross. Good old JR.
Good old JR.
This is our first glimpse of him on our show.
I did not realize he was in WWE this early.
Well, he wasn't. He was in WWF.
Sorry.
We haven't
WWF.
We haven't got the F out yet.
Clearly.
So anyhow, we get JR, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Macho Man Randy Savage. They're our commentating team.
He looks so young, too.
Oh, he does. Looks young.
Such a baby.
His voice sounds a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Just a little bit different in the voice. But that could just be audio quality gets better later on. It's hard to say.
My life won't be complete until I hear JR exclaim, "It's gonna be a slobber knocker!"
I just can't wait till he says at a certain pay-per-view, "Oh my God, he's broken in half! I think he's dead!"
Well, see, that's just to a specific match.
Yeah, well, he does that often, though. I mean, he makes everything pretty elaborate. So, I love JR's commentating. I'm pretty excited
I am too.
To get to hear JR for the next, 20 plus years.
I'm curious when they,
30 years.
When that team comes together.
With King?
With King.
I think it's pretty soon. Not quite soon. Well, it's after, I think, the incident with Bret Hart and Vince McMahon. I think Vince McMahon is going to be on commentating a lot before that happens. I'm not sure if King joins them. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to check it out. But anyhow, I know if you watch Monday Night Raw at this time, which I would love to follow along, but I did watch some, and we're not quite to where I've watched it all yet. But the WWE Network has officially closed down as of this recording. And so you can't watch Raw past 2003. So I can't even go back and watch the early Raws. But the early Raws showed Bobby the Brain Heenan and Macho Man and a little bit of Vince. JR's not on there yet. Even though this WrestleMania had taken place, JR's not on there. So they must be using JR on a Saturday morning show or something along them lines. He's not the Raw commentator yet. So it's pretty cool to see him at least commentate WrestleMania. I'm very happy to hear him, and I'm kind of curious how many shows he gets used, because at this time it seems like they're using the commentators in different shows. It's not always consistent on who it was. At one time, it was pretty much Gorilla and Jesse the Body Ventura, and that was pretty constant for a while. And then it's ever since those two
switching around.
We
even had Rowdy Piper on there. And now we have Macho Man.
I think Hacksaw on one night was commentating.
I want to forget that night.
I mean, it was just kind of one of those things where it doesn't seem like they had a consistency of who was going to commentate each show. So that's a little different. When we get later on, it's pretty much for a while there it was pretty much JR and King.
Oh, it's their and that way for a long time.
It was their show for a long time. And then now, of course, today we have two different sets. We've got the SmackDown crew and we got the Raw crew.
For the longest time, they commentated.
So anyhow, we're going to move on to the next, the first match of WrestleMania 9. And I'd also like to point out before we move on to the match, this is, I believe, our first outside venue.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks
nice.
Amazing. I mean, this is like
Caesar's Palace outside.
Looks like a spectacle. And I really don't think they've had a WrestleMania that has looked this good that we have watched since WrestleMania 3. WrestleMania 3 looked like an event. It was amazing. This one looks like an event. The others I felt just looked like it was just another WrestleMania, but it just didn't pop the way this show pops.
Right.
If you know what I'm saying there. But this is definitely looks amazing. Our most elaborate setup we have seen so far while doing these shows.
So this looks beautiful. So then we get Shawn Michaels comes out with Luna Vachon, and this is the first time we have seen Luna Vachon on our show. And then, of course, Tatanka comes out with Sensational Sherry. This match was pretty good, but it was littered with a few kind of hiccups and botches that they didn't quite really mesh well on a few moves.
Yeah, there
was enough good to kind of overcome a few of those botches. I thought this was a great opening match. It was kind of plagued with a kind of a crappy ending with a count out that really didn't give you a resolution to this match, but it kept Tatanka's undefeated streak going, and it kept the title on Shawn, so it served its purpose, but it was an awkward count out.
Yeah, it was because they let the match go a little longer until the ref was like, no. Right after Tatanka, it was almost like the ref was paid.
Yeah, it was just awkward because he didn't say it was a count out until Tatanka did his finishing move and was about to pin Shawn. So it was just very awkwardly done.
So that Samoan drop is his finishing move?
I think so. I think that is his finishing move. But I know before his move he does the whole dancing and the tomahawks. And then I think he finishes up with that, kind of backdrop. But anyhow, other than an awkward ending, I thought this was a very good startup match. The match was over 18 minutes long. So, we're already 30 minutes into a 2.5 hour pay-per-view, and we have just seen entrances and then one match. So they spent a lot of time on this early portion. And then after the match, we get Luna Vachon attacking Sensational Sherry, and we get to see women get active for the first time in a long time. And I mean a long time.
And honestly, I thought Luna and Vachon, those were some pretty well done suplexes. Yeah,
outside of the fact that it wasn't an official wrestling match, this is the first time we've seen women do wrestling moves at all. They have pretty much, the only women that's really been around has been Miss Elizabeth and Sensational Sherry. There hasn't been a lot of women around ever since they've stopped doing women's matches. So,
and this is obviously leading up to a feud and a match between
those two. We're gonna see women's wrestling and we know soon. I don't know if we get it today on WrestleMania 9.
I doubt it. It seemed like they were building up for it.
I know Luna Vachon wrestles, so
and we've seen Sherry wrestle.
But I'm just saying, I know Luna wrestles, so I'm not sure when we're gonna start seeing it, but we're definitely going to see women's wrestling come back, I would say, pretty soon on the podcast.
Now, you mentioned there was a couple weird botches in this match.
Yeah, there was.
I wanted to bring up one of those where Shawn Michaels jumps off the top rope and does
like a backflip, and it's supposed to be.
Flip. It was like a sunset flip powerbomb, and it was just weirdly, awkwardly done.
Yeah, it just, he didn't quite land the way I think. It kind of looked like he did a side powerbomb instead of a straight-on regular flip powerbomb. It just didn't connect as well. It didn't look horrific, like, oh my gosh, this match just got messed up. It just, you could tell, somebody who watches wrestling all the time could tell that was not done properly.
No.
But for their, to kind of make up for that, there was a beautiful Tatanka jumping off the top rope and Shawn hitting him with a super kick right in midair. That was a beautiful move. So there was some good and bad. It just wasn't a perfect match. I would have to give this match probably 3.5 super kicks in the air. How about that?
All right. I think I'm going to go with 3 Shawn Michaels oversell flops.
Yeah, he oversold a chop pretty good. He got a normal chop and he did a 360 in the air, flip to land. So you can already see Shawn's overselling moves.
Sean makes every
makes
match
it
fantastic.
amazing. So yeah, I wish this was a better match, but this was a very good starting match. I gave it 3.5 because of Sean's standards. He's had way better matches than this, but this was not a bad match. So,
Agreed.
okay, let's continue this thing and see where this leads. Okay, so the next match. Actually, before the next match, we get a Mean Gene Okerlund interview with the Steiner brothers, and we get to hear them talk, I believe, for the first time on our podcast. I don't think we have heard them talk.
Yeah, I don't think they talked in the last match. We've only seen one match, and that was a good match. And I don't want to spoil anything, but
this was a very good match.
It was a good match.
This was a very good match. I think this match definitely impressed, and I am shocked that Scott Steiner's still alive. But I do think we see the moment where Scott goes from collegiate wrestler, like amateur type wrestler, to Big Papa Pump, because he definitely hit his head in this match, and I think this is where the crazy this has to be where the crazy starts, right?
Yeah, there was a move that they were going to do. They were doing on Scott that I swear it looked
I think it was.
It had
botched.
to have been botched, but it looked so like they were. It looked like they were doing the clothesline on the where they were like going to drop his neck on the clothesline, and then but they didn't. He flew out of the ring instead.
Yeah, he slid right over the top rope instead of getting the clothesline on the top rope, and he flew all the way out of the ring. And it looked dangerous.
It did, but he seems like he's fine. Then we had an amazing Rick Steiner off the top, or on top of one of the head shrinkers. The head shrinker comes off of the top rope, kind of like what an LOD finisher, clothesline type thing. Rick Steiner catches him in midair and does a
body
fall-away slam on him from the shoulders of one of the other head shrinkers. Holy shit, man.
It was incredible. So far, Steiner Brothers have been amazing on our podcast, what we've seen of them.
Very impressive. And then Scott Steiner does another. Now, this time he doesn't break his neck.
He doesn't kill
But he
the
does
guy,
another Frankensteiner.
Frankensteiner, yes.
And it was quick, looked good. It was there was just a lot of impressiveness.
But having said all that, the most impressive part about this match is going to tie into my score, because it is the first time we've gotten to hear it. It is the birth of, I'm going to give this 4 out of 5, slobber knockers.
Well, I'm going to give this 4.5, because I thought this was a really good match. 4.5. OH! Because these bastards were wearing Michigan jackets to the ring, and I almost knocked a point off for them. But it was such a good match, and they were amazing in the ring.
It definitely was.
It's probably the best thing to come out of Michigan, possibly.
Really?
Uh-huh.
We're just going to ignore the goat then, huh?
Who's the goat?
Came out of Michigan?
Don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh. So anyhow.
I don't talk about losers that get drafted in the 6th round.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and just come up with Hall of Fame careers, winning Super Bowls in different decades, and different players, and the excuses are dropping. Anyhow, this was an amazing match. But I would like to point out, like I mentioned, the whole slobber knocker thing. We get to hear good old JR use the term slobber knocker for the first time. And Bobby the Brain Heenan acts like it came from the future or something, because he's like, well, what's a slobber knocker? He's questioning him and everything. It's like he has never heard such language before.
JR had to give him the Urban Dictionary description of a slobber knocker.
I will say that JR did miss a beat here, because when Scott Steiner flew out of the ring, I expected more. Oh my God, I think he's dead! So,
well, they didn't play it off like he got hurt or anything.
no, they didn't. They played it off like that was meant to happen. But that was, I don't think he was supposed to fly out of the ring the way he did. He was supposed to get hung up on the ropes. And then we did get a shot in the back. What was that? Pretty much kendo stick, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
The manager hit Scott with the kendo stick, which kind of led you to believe that he was okay. Because they did that pretty soon after he fell out of the ring.
And
but
Bobby the Brain
it was a dangerous tumble.
Wanted to point out that, baseball season's about to start in real life along with this show. And,
the show, huh?
The show, yeah.
The subliminal messages?
All the subliminal messages. He had a nice swing. It was a nice swing.
Yes, he did. Okay. Oh, he also had some harsh words about college sports.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
He said it was high school sports.
They don't get paid. It's football.
He's like, yeah, they don't get paid. It doesn't matter.
He's like, yeah, because he called it the high school sports, and they're like, it's college, Bobby. And he's like, it don't matter. They don't get paid. It's crap sports.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. Okay. So before the next match, we get an interview with Doink the Clown. He has defaced the Caesar statue that is in the background there that was there for the first interview. We've only seen it the one time, and now Doink has made it to where it's got face paint.
He made it better, Rage.
So I'm
made it better.
Kind of curious if that statue stays the same or if they clean it or bring in a new statue for the next interview. I'm very curious about that. So the next match is Doink the Clown versus the Hawaiian Sensation Crush, and it was a decent match. It wasn't the best match. You can't look at this match as a really good wrestling match. This was a story match. Doink just playing his pranks, doing his thing. There wasn't nothing bad about it. And then we get a kind of a twisted ending with an illusion Doink, who is, by the way, played by Skinner, is who plays the illusion Doink.
Much better role for him.
And so he gets some help from illusion Doink, and Doink wins the match. But this was just an okay match. It was just kind of a comedy relief. It was, I don't know. I want to give it 2.5 illusions.
So 2.5 doppelganger Doinks, huh?
Yep.
I actually found this match very fun. Yeah, of course it's not a great, wrestling display or anything, but I enjoyed Doink's antics. I enjoy the doppelganger Doink and then having his arm pulled off and using his arm as a weapon. It's just, Doink's a fun character. I really enjoy him. So I'm gonna go with 3 broken arms.
Fair enough. I'd like to point this out before we move further. Doink kind of reminds me of an early version. Definitely not comparing the wrestling ability. I want to make sure that's clear before I say it. But kind of like Eddie Guerrero. How he lied, cheat, and stealed. He did fun antics during his matches to win. And he was unapologetically cheating. You know what I mean?
I guess I kind of see the parallels that you're talking about.
Yeah, I see. It's kind of like an early stage of the, he's going to cheat, but it's not going to be your normal cheat, and it's going to be like
blatant, and he's not
cheating,
even going to try to hide it.
Right. So I guess that's kind of the best description I can give of Doink, is an early Eddie Guerrero type when it comes to his match antics. The difference is Eddie could wrestle circles around Doink and honestly, almost everybody. Eddie was a fantastic and amazing wrestler who, to be honest, probably didn't need that shtick, but just added to his character because he was a phenomenal wrestler.
Right. But he was also a great character. I mean, he was a great wrestler and a great character, and I loved his antics. Just like I love precursor Eddie Guerrero here in makeup. Doink's a lot of fun. I like a character, like, especially at this time in wrestling history, we didn't have anyone like Doink. We don't have anyone, like, he's a one of a kind for his era. Like,
it's definitely something different in this slew of characters. So I gotta give it to you. It was pretty good. I gave it 2.5 because it's just the match itself was a lot to be desired. There was, the antics were fun, but the match itself just there wasn't much.
I mean, I'm here thinking of people that could be even close to comparable, and I don't think there is. I mean, you have Ultimate Warrior in makeup, but he didn't really have. Well, you know what? He is kind of like Doink. I mean, he was an alien, not instead of a clown.
Moving on, we're gonna move on and continue this coverage of WrestleMania 9. Okay, so the next match is the bad guy, Razor Ramon, versus Bob Backlund.
Bob Backlund.
So this was a very short match, and really, I don't even know if there's enough to really grade this one. There was a very awkward ending. We didn't even get to see the Razor's Edge at the end. It was a roll-up.
Yeah.
There was a botched move in this short match. So it was just a very odd... I'm going to have to give this one toothpick throws. Because this just wasn't... There wasn't anything here. And I hated to do that because I like Razor Ramon.
Honestly, if it wasn't because I know of Bob Backlund, I know his name, I would have thought that this was a jobber versus Razor Ramon, and then they played it off like he wasn't a jobber, and it was really weird. And then apparently the fans don't give a shit about Bob Backlund either because they started cheering the bad guy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is, I believe
he was definitely a heel.
I assume he's definitely a heel still. I don't know if he ever went face as Razor Ramon. I can't remember. But, they started cheering Razor.
Although, in fairness, did we notice the the pitch of the people chanting Razor Ramon? Because I'm almost willing to bet it was mostly women. And maybe a few guys.
Could have been. Hard to say.
I mean, he seems like the type of guy that the women might like.
Yeah. So what do you grade this?
Oh, jeez. Do I have to?
Yep. Scale is 0 to 5. I'd say half to 5.
Half to 5, yeah. I'm gonna have to go with, I don't know. There was like so little. One. I swear to God, he's a jobber.
Okay. Good enough.
Don't know where to go with this because there was just nothing here. And it's kind of weird that Razor Ramon needed... It was clear that Razor Ramon was the star in this match. And for some reason, he didn't seem like the star of the match. And he wins with a roll-up.
Yeah, it was very odd. I was looking forward to seeing the Razor's Edge, and it was just an odd finish. Very, very quick match.
Very disappointing, really. I mean, although I guess Razor versus Bob Backlund's going to be disappointing.
Match was 3 minutes and 45 seconds, according to Wikipedia, and it felt shorter than that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, kinda.
Okay. Okay, so before the next match, we get an interview with Money Inc. with Mean Gene Okerlund. Decent interview. You know, they're pretty good on the mic.
As always with, $1 Million Man.
And then they're about to come out. Money Inc., Ted DiBiase, and IRS are the tag team champions. And they're about to defend it against the Mega Maniacs, which consists of the Phantom of the Opera and Cyclops.
No, I'm good with that.
You're good with that? Okay.
I'm good with that. Fuck Hogan.
So that's the match we got. Brutus Barber Beefcake, Hulk Hogan, and this was just one of them typical Hogan matches. I didn't think this was a great match. It wasn't a bad match. There was a lot going on. It really shows Hogan's pull in the backstage when he can prevent a 10 count from, if we count you 10, they announced in the middle of the match, if we count to 10, you lose the tag team titles.
Yeah, they ruined my bad guys. That was bullshit.
So then later on in the match, Hogan uses Brutus's Phantom of the Opera mask to hit both Money Inc. members over the head. The referee was knocked out, but another referee came out and declared that they were disqualified because of the actions.
Very weird end.
Very, very weird. It was, they were doing a lot of things that heels really would be doing. So it was just a very odd.
In fairness, so was $1 Million Man and
no, true, but they're supposed to be the heels.
Yeah.
The faces were just doing some odd things that just were out of the ordinary for your face team to do.
They took a rope and choked Hogan for half the match, and then Hogan, of course, still powers out of a $1 Million Dream that is applied to him. So
So overall, I'm gonna just have to keep this right in the middle. I'm gonna have to give this 3 Broadway musicals.
Three. You care to explain?
The Phantom of the Opera was in the middle of this match.
Oh, yes.
Did you not see the mask?
Definitely not looking anything like the Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, definitely. It was just a colorful. It was just a colorful '90s version.
It's just
of the
literally
Phantom.
the Phantom of the Opera is half the face. Half the face.
And he went full facial instead of half facial. So it's.
I think you just have facials on the mind. So. Yeah, no, there was nothing Phantom of the Opera of that mask. If anything, it looks superhero-like. I don't think you've ever seen Phantom of the Opera.
No, I don't think I have.
It's a great movie. Play.
And you're saying I'm the one thinking about facials. Ooh, dude.
Just because I like a great musical. That is very offensive to our fans of musicals that listen to our podcast. All 2 of them.
Well, hopefully they don't like facials.
We watch a program with half-naked men constantly, and you want to give me shit about liking a musical?
Yes.
Okay. Anyways.
So what do you grade this one?
I'm going to give this 2... punches in the face. So, I guess we didn't really go into this, but Hulk Hogan, the reason Rage called him a Cyclops is his eye, his left eye is red, and stitched up, and he got fucked up. And I looked it up, and according to Hulk Hogan, he was in a jet ski accident and had to get 100 stitches. According to Jim Cornette, Macho Man punched Hulk Hogan in the face. Because
I didn't see that.
Miss Elizabeth was at Hulk Hogan's house because Miss Elizabeth and Hulk Hogan's wife Linda at the time were friends. And Macho Man got a little upset, punched him in the face, and then we watched this match, and Macho Man is praising Hulk Hogan right afterwards, which I found kind of entertaining.
Okay.
So, 2 punches in the face.
And then we get about 2 hours and 15 minutes of pandering to the crowd afterwards.
Oh my god, so much pandering. It was... we haven't seen Hogan in a couple shows, and it was so nice. We got better matches, better everything. Now we're getting half the show is frickin' pandering.
Yeah. So, that was a long intro, wasn't it? Okay, so our first match on our Part 2 edition of WrestleMania 9 is Mr. Perfect versus the narcissist Lex Luger. Lex Luger.
Lex Luger?
Lex Luger.
I'd like you to say that in front of Lex Luger's face.
Comes out with, well, I think anybody can nowadays. Have you seen current pictures? I mean,
I still think that he can punch.
I mean, I don't think he can. He's pretty fragile.
1993 Lex Luger?
Well, you didn't say 19. You said I'd like you to say that in front of Lex Luger's face. And I'm just saying, have you seen him recently?
He's kind of a beast of a man, just saying.
He was kind
of a beast of a man.
Anyhow.
He'll run you over with his wheelchair.
Wow. So anyhow, back to what we were saying, he has an elaborate entrance with 4 bikini models holding up mirrors and the fireworks coming out of the top of the mirrors. That was pretty cool.
Yes, it was.
It was pretty good. So anyhow, and then Mr. Perfect came out just normal, nothing special. But this was a pretty decent match. I kind of expected a little bit more. And it ended on a little bit of a controversy. Mr. Perfect's feet were touching the ropes during the 1, 2, 3. Lex Luger does get the pin, and he gets the 1, 2, 3, but it happened with controversy. So he definitely did not win cleanly. But I would have to give this probably 3.5 supermodels.
Yeah, this was a fine match. I mean, Lex Luger entrances seem to be like the most elaborate entrances we've been getting on this show. If you get technical, so far they really haven't taken a lot of stock into entrances so far.
So yeah, this is definitely something different.
Yeah, I mean, it was good 5-minute entrance maybe. And he comes down and he just poses in front of those models with the mirrors in front behind him. I mean, it was interesting and made sense for the name Narcissist. It really fits the character.
It was pretty cool. It definitely does fit the character. I mean, like I said, it's something different. We haven't seen, maybe with The Undertaker coming out slowly and stuff, but even with him, they haven't really gotten elaborate with his entrances yet.
No, not yet.
He just kind of slow walks and all that good stuff. I don't even think he turns the lights back on yet. I haven't noticed him doing that. Have you?
No, not really.
So I don't think he's gotten to that point where his entrances are even a little bit more. And then obviously we know later on in some WrestleManias he gets the druids and the fire.
Oh yeah, cool Undertaker. My favorite add-on is the lightning bolt that goes down and brings up fire.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, this was a pretty decent match. It was a pretty good worked match and everything. It just ended in controversy. And to be honest, I thought it was short. I thought it was shorter than I expected. I thought this was going to be a longer match. So what do you grade this?
I'm going to go 3 mirror on the wall.
Okay, so after the match, Mr. Perfect chases Lex Luger out of the arena area, and he is pretty furious because he feels he was robbed in this match, which, honestly, yeah, he was. He goes back there to attack Lex. Lex is back there with Shawn Michaels, and for whatever reason, Shawn Michaels gets involved and starts attacking Mr. Perfect, and Lex Luger just kind of hightails it out of there.
I'm thinking Shawn Michaels was really good friends with those girls that Lex Luger... He probably let Lex Luger use those girls.
That's
yeah,
probably some truth to that story.
And I don't know if you noticed, but Mr. Perfect really shunned one of those girls as he was coming down the aisle.
I actually noticed that. It was weird.
It was really weird. It almost looked like that girl was like, well, hold on, look at that man, you know, Mr. Perfect. And she touched him and he was like,
You don't touch perfection.
You do not touch perfection, exactly. And I think Shawn Michaels got a little offended, so, because those were his girls.
Yeah, so it was just an interesting segment where it was a feud between Perfect and Lex Luger, and then Shawn gets involved. So I'm kind of curious if when we, maybe King of the Ring, if we see a Mr. Perfect Shawn Michaels feud, or even a tag team maybe, involving those two, and Mr. Perfect maybe finds a partner.
Yeah, because unfortunately we do not have triple threats yet.
No, and I don't think we will till, what, 99?
97.
Is it 97?
Pretty sure it's 97.
We're still ways away. All right, let's keep it going. Okay, so the next match is The Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez with a new outfit. He no longer has the hair on his outfit. Instead, it is just drawn on.
It is still stupid as fuck.
Very stupid as fuck. And he has got Harvey Whippleman out with him.
Also
and
stupid.
Undertaker has Paul Bearer with him.
Less stupid.
Okay,
Less stupid.
So, and actually, I really enjoyed this match. I mean, it was two big guys, but it's really hard to believe that anybody made The Undertaker look like a small guy. And he really looks small next to Giant Gonzalez. It's
insane.
Not
a matter of looks. He is small compared to Giant Gonzalez. Giant Gonzalez is a big frickin' dude.
Yes, I believe in pro wrestling history, he is the biggest to do it. So, doesn't get much bigger than Giant Gonzalez. He is even bigger than Andre was.
They really could have had something special with him if they didn't bring him out with the dumbest frickin' outfit I have ever seen in all of wrestling.
Yeah, it's a shame because this guy could have had a great career. I mean, this guy was a huge attraction. Not 100% sure the backstory of, whatever happened to him, why he didn't last very long.
He seems to be able to move. I mean,
yeah, let's be honest. He wrestled better than the Great Khali, didn't he?
I mean, yeah. He wrestled, although he really didn't do much. I mean, it was mostly power stuff. But still, when you're that big, you don't necessarily have to be the greatest wrestler. I mean, let's face it, Andre wasn't the greatest wrestler, but he was a show. He was an attraction. Giant Gonzalez could have been an attraction, but his outfit is an eyesore.
Yeah, whoever designed this outfit was just dumb. I don't know if this dude. I don't even know the backstory of this outfit, but it's
probably
just
Vince.
It's just bad marketing. It's just bad. It looks silly now, and to be honest, this isn't one of those. It probably looked good in the '90s situation.
No,
like High Energy's outfit that Owen Hart and Coco Beware wore. You could be like, okay, that was hip in the '90s. I don't think this was hip in the '90s or anywhere. This just looks silly.
No, and you don't need it. Like, you don't need fake muscles on your giant frickin' man. He doesn't look like he's out of shape. He's a giant frickin' man. All you need to do is put a singlet on him, like Andre. That would have worked. Worked fine.
Yeah. Maybe they.
I would have liked a little bit different to kind of differentiate. Yes, I would like him to be more, differentiate himself from Andre, but this is going way too far.
Completely agree. Well, anyhow, back to the match. I mean, this was one of those, you see them facing each other, and you see Undertaker has to look up at him, and they exchange blows. This was just a brute match, so, I mean, there wasn't a lot of wrestling. There's a lot of punches and kicks. There's not a lot you can do with a guy that size. So I'm going to have to give this 3 hairy shoulders.
3 hairy shoulders. Okay, so it is what it is. It's not a great match. It was interesting seeing Giant Gonzalez stand next to the ring and still look over the frickin' top rope.
Yeah.
It also has a really funky ending. I mean...
Yeah, very weird with chloroform, and it was just an odd ending. But the Undertaker gets brought out in a stretcher, and technically the streak is intact. Undertaker wins this by disqualification, but, I mean... It just makes you think back now, and you're like, wow, the streak could have ended that quick. Because they definitely wanted to make Giant Gonzalez look powerful, but they didn't want to show the Undertaker being vulnerable either. So it was kind of one of those weird endings where they didn't really want to.
And I get why they had him do that, but I think that really, that also ruins what you could have had with Giant Gonzalez. Instead of making him just be a powerhouse and maybe beat down Undertaker so much that he gets disqualified for that, they have him grab chloroform?
Yeah, it's weird.
And take out Undertaker with a frickin' rag? I mean, this is how you want to book your giant, biggest wrestler of all time?
Yeah, I'd also like to point out that the entrance, we didn't really talk about the entrance. Undertaker came out in a chariot with a vulture.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was pretty cool entrance. So we're getting a little bit elaborate on some of these, so that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that was an interesting entrance, and we got the green smoke that he came out
smoke.
to.
Yes, I forgot about that.
There was some cool things here. It's just all I can think about is Giant Gonzalez could have been a big thing. He could have been up there. And now, did you remember Giant Gonzalez much before?
I remember him, but I don't think he,
Did you remember him because of his stupid ass outfit?
I remember him because of his stupid ass outfit and because he was huge. He's kind of a hard guy to forget about once you see him. But other than that, I don't remember much of what he did other than this match.
His outfit makes me want to pour acid in my eyes.
Yeah, so just a bad look.
It's a very bad look. And I'm going to probably give this 2.5. Burn that fucking outfit, please.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so before the main event, we get interview with Hulk Hogan. We also get backstory on what's going on between Bret Hart, Yokozuna, and it looked like Mean Gene was trying to point out the black eye, and Hulk Hogan completely ignored the question.
Yeah, well,
So he definitely...
I don't think he wanted to tell everybody that Macho Man punched him in the face.
He said something about, I heard about this from Ted DiBiase, and then Hulk Hogan completely, ignored him. Almost like... Shut up, Mean Gene.
Shut up, brother.
But then after the interview with Hulk Hogan, who he issues a challenge, wink, wink, issues a freaking challenge to the winner and of the title match. Then we get another I don't know what you call it. I can't remember the guy's name. The guy that talks,
the British
in the crowd.
dude.
The guy that talks in the crowd. Anyhow,
I don't know.
He talks to some kids, and then he talks to some rowdy frat boys. And that was kind of funny because he talked to the rowdy frat boys, and the frat boys actually started pretend wrestling. So he was like, "Be careful, guys! You're going to spill your beer."
Yeah. Well, you don't want to spill your beer. I mean,
can't spill your beer.
Yeah, that's terrible. Why would you? You definitely don't want to. Don't want to spill your beer.
So then we get the entrances. We get Yokozuna coming out, and then we get Bret Hart. And this match was a lot shorter than I expected. Matter of fact, I was actually really, really, really enjoying this match. And it ended a lot quicker than I expected. I didn't like the ending of this match. I do and I don't. I liked the fact that Bret Hart had Yokozuna in the sharpshooter and the powder in the eyes. What I didn't like is that's all it took for Yokozuna to pin him. He didn't do a splash on Bret Hart. He didn't do a bonsai. He literally got the blinded by the eye and then went for the pin, and that was all it took to get the 1, 2, 3. I was actually ready to say this was the match of the night, just with the way it was going, until it just kind of abruptly ended. Because I really liked some of the stuff they had done during the match, and I thought the momentum was there for this to be a really, really good match. And I'm not sure if it's because of Yoko's size that they had to do a shorter match, or if it's because of the obvious, I'm getting ahead of myself, but the shenanigans that happened after the match. I just did not like the way this match ended, because I actually thought this match was, for a big guy and Bret Hart doing this match together, I thought it was shaping up to be a really good match. So it just kind of bothered me that it was like powder in the eyes, and that's enough to get the 1, 2, 3. He should have done something after the powder in the eye to put the exclamation point to finish the match off, and I just don't know why that didn't happen.
Yeah, I definitely agree. This match was very, it had the potential to be really good. We've seen Yokozuna do some pretty good matches, and we've definitely seen Bret Hart do some really good matches. But yeah, this was very disappointing.
Yeah, so overall, like I said, I was ready to give this match a really high grade. I'm going to knock it down to and maybe I'm being generous here, I'm going to give it 3.5 because it really was building momentum, and it's the finish that bothered me. So I'm gonna give this match probably 3.5 powder bags in the eye, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm giving it 2.5 bullshits because of what happens afterwards.
Well, no, we're going to rank that match too.
Oh, are we ranking that match?
You can give this match whatever you want. Rank it however you want. So if you're giving it 2.5, whatever, because I already got my score for the next match.
All right, I guess I'll give this 2.5 trips on the rope. I don't know.
Okay, so obviously anybody who's watched WrestleMania 9 knows what's about to come up. Anybody that's watched the Yokozuna documentary knows how people close to him feel about it. Watch that documentary on WWE Network, well, now Peacock. It's a very good documentary, and it seems like everybody they interviewed had a problem with what happens next, except for, of course, Hulk Hogan. Imagine that. I thought it was going to be a good for business, brother. Yeah, good for you. So anyhow, the next thing that happens,
like Triple H and Stephanie McMahon and Vince McMahon sound like the McMahons right early.
So Hogan comes out before Yoko could even celebrate a second with the title. Comes out, checks on Bret Hart, and immediately Mr. Fuji ends up challenging Hulk Hogan to a match, and Bret Hart gives the signal, go ahead and do it. This leads to I think, let me double check, 8 seconds, I believe? No, I'm sorry, 22 seconds. This leads to a 22-second match of Hulk Hogan giving him the leg drop and getting the 1, 2, 3 and celebrating at the end of WrestleMania 9. I give this match a -5 black eyes.
You son of a bitch. I was going to do the exact same thing. -5, Hulk Hogan is a son of a bitch.
And it really put a damper at the end of this pay-per-view, because I feel like this Bret Hart match could have had a better ending and a little bit longer of a finish had it not been for the shenanigans that happened afterwards. But what's done is done. That is my opinion on the matter. We had our second WrestleMania, almost our second WrestleMania, that didn't have a Hogan main event match. And then it technically still had a Hogan main event match.
Yeah, and then he posed longer than the frickin' matches that just happened.
That's Actually, I don't think an exaggeration. The camera even panned out and finally was like, "We're done with this too." It's kind of odd because he was still pandering to the crowd, and the camera rolled the credits and went home. They were like, "Yeah, we're good."
All the people in the audience were like, "Is he done yet? I'm done."
All right,
I gotta go.
So let's go ahead and talk about our favorite matches and all that good stuff.
Favorite match of the night.
Okay, so the best match of the night, I'm going to have to give it to the Steiner Brothers versus the Head Shrinkers. So far, the Steiner Brothers has just impressed the hell out of me.
Yeah, they've been very impressive every time we've seen them, and I hate to do it, but I got to do the same thing. Steiner Brothers have been impressive in every match that we've seen them in. Yeah, they were impressive here again.
I can say partially roided up Scott Steiner's better than fully roided up Scott Steiner.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. It's all about, control, just a little bit of roids.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Right.
Yeah,
but if you eat too much roids, then you become a complete egomaniac.
Asshole. Yeah, asshole.
Right.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah, too much roids is bad. I mean, just a little bit of roids, okay.
Holla if you hear me, right?
No, because then he was all rounded up.
Oh, okay. My bad.
So I don't hear anything.
Okay.
Very deaf.
Worst match of the night.
Okay, so the worst match of the night is, I think, clear as day here. We gave it our first negative score in the podcast because we hated it so much, and that is Hulk Hogan versus Yokozuna.
Yeah, 22 seconds.
Yeah, so it just... It was unnecessary.
It wasn't even the 22 seconds that was the problem. I mean, that was not great either. But the problem is how Hulk Hogan just strong-armed his way and just and forced himself to win the title after Yokozuna. First time he gets to win the championship. I don't care if he cheats. We know that it's not. This is sports entertainment. But this was supposed to be his moment. And Hulk Hogan just strong arms himself into the match and was like, I think I should win it at the end, brother. Blah, blah, blah. I'm a dick. And, I'm pretty sure that was verbatim of what he said, I'm a dick. So,
Yeah, needless to say, we were not a fan of how this WrestleMania ended.
And I don't think anyone is a fan. Unless you just really, really love Hulk Hogan. But the more you hear about Hulk Hogan, the more you hate Hulk Hogan. Which is probably why he was so good in NWO as a heel.
Yeah, and actually I preferred him as a heel, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, when I was a kid, I liked Hulk Hogan growing up, but you don't know all the backstage stuff and everything. And that's why he was so big. Because he was so popular. He was so larger than life. He was like a real life superhero. But I think it's kind of the same reason, as an adult, I didn't really get into John Cena much. When John Cena first came out, he was kind of rapper and he did all this stuff, and I thought he was kind of cool. But then when he became just the face of the company and this super sugary baby face, I think I was just too old to appreciate.
But here's the difference. John Cena is essentially the Superman from comic books, and Hulk Hogan is the Homelander from The Boys. Okay? That's exactly what Hulk Hogan is compared to John Cena. He's Homelander. If you've ever seen The Boys, he's, to the public eye, he's like this great, wonderful, good superhero. But if you know him personally, he's a real asshole.
It's actually kind of a great description.
That's what Hulk Hogan is. And John Cena's the Superman from the comics. John Cena actually is a great dude. And, yeah, we weren't big on him because we were adults when he became big. But, you know, the dude has the record for most Make-A-Wish appearances. The dude is, like, legit a good guy from everything I've seen, heard about him. Where Hulk Hogan he's the one that's letting a plane of people go to their death because he doesn't have time.
Let's chill out on the analogies here. As far as we know, Hogan hasn't let a plane full of people die. Dear Lord, we're getting a little extreme now.
You know,
so anyhow, let's go ahead and just let's
close.
Let's move on.
Close.
WrestleMania rankings.
Okay, so it is that time. We are about to rank these, and I'm going to have to keep WrestleMania 8 at the top of my list. WrestleMania 3, I'm going to keep at number 2. I am going to slide the... No, I'm not going to do that. I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep WrestleMania 2 at number 3. I'm going to slide this at number 4. Because this wasn't a horrible WrestleMania. I know the ending was pretty crappy, but this was a fairly entertaining WrestleMania. So I'm going to put this at number 4. Which means that WrestleMania 7 moves down to 5, WrestleMania 4 moves down to 6, WrestleMania 6 moves down to 7, WrestleMania 5 is at 8, and WrestleMania 1 is at 9. So that is my new WrestleMania rankings.
Okay. For me, I don't know. Honestly, I mean, there wasn't a lot of bad matches, but there also wasn't a lot of great matches. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're
like the best match was the Steiner brothers, and don't get me wrong, they've been impressive. But it wasn't like a classic. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I don't know where I want to put this. I think I'm going to put this. Let's see. I'm going to go with WrestleMania 1 being my worst. So that was 9. 8 will be WrestleMania 4. 7 will be WrestleMania 6. 6 will be WrestleMania... I think I'm going to put this one here. WrestleMania 9 at 6.
At 6?
And, yep. And then 5, WrestleMania 5. At 4, WrestleMania 7. At 3, WrestleMania 2. At 2, WrestleMania 3. And then end it with the WrestleMania 8 being the best one so far.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, that would be my rankings.
Okay. Okay, so all we have left to do is plug the pluggables and wrap this up.
All right. Well, you can find me on the Dragon Blazer Productions on Facebook, the Instagram, the YouTubes, and you can find me on Dragon Blazer Pro on Twitter.
Okay, you can find the Rage and Blaze Show on Facebook, at the Rage and Blaze Show on Instagram.
Yes, that's a thing. That's a thing.
At Ricky Rayberg on Twitter.
Yeah, there is an Instagram, and you can find you there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's where you're at. Instagrams.
And I'm easier to find because it's just the one Instagram, the one Twitter, the one Facebook.
You can find... I don't understand why you're so confused about the multiverse. Don't you watch DC programming?
Okay, so that is going to wrap it up for the Rage and Blaze Show. I'd like to thank my special guest, Remington, today. I'm sure you could hear him in the background during this podcast. And my wife's cell phone.
He
I'd like
waved.
to thank my wife's cell phone. Yeah, Remington waved.
He waved a little bit. Hi, hi, everyone.
So that is my nephew. He decided to make an appearance on the podcast.
Hi.
So this has been the Rage and Blaze Show. I'm Rage.
And I'm Blaze.
And good night from Rage's Pit.
And here is your winners, and still podcast tag team champions of the world, the Rage and Blaze Show. Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, this is Blaze from the Ragin' Blaze and the Boomer and Blaze Show. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more wrestling content.